What's up everybody, it's Roman Gaming here. Sorry if my voice sounds a bit messed up because I got a cold, so just so you know. PlayStation 5 backwards compatibility. This is one of those things that my viewers always ask me about in the YouTube comments and the Twitch chat on live streams. Is, Robin, do you think that the PlayStation 5 is going to be backwards compatible with PS4 games, maybe even games of previous generations? And my answer for a long time to that question has been, yeah, I think it is inevitably going to be. You know, I look at just the times we live in, but also the current situation with other competitors out there, I guess. And actually, there's been a couple of signs that have been pointing into that direction for a while now that I will get into in a bit. But the reason why I'm making this video is that apparently Sony has filed a certain patent very recently, which is called remastering by emulation. And it's a pretty long and complicated text, so I'm not going to read it out loud in this video, but I'll put a link in the description so you can check it out for yourself if you want to. And I'll explain it briefly what it comes down to in the best way I can. The title already says it, remastering by emulation. What it comes down to is that, say you take a certain already existing game on PlayStation 4, and then on a new hardware platform, so the PlayStation 5, a developer would be able to have that same existing game run on it and automatically via a patch, for example, increase its the quality of its assets. So say that you have a particular object in a game that has a texture of 500 by 500 pixels. I'm just coming up with a random example. A developer is going to be able to increase the resolution of that texture to 2000 by 2000 pixels, for example, which will be noticeably sharper. That texture will be given the same sort of code or name or whatever that's attached to it as the old texture did, and the new platform will look at that and automatically make the game therefore look better. It's gonna apply those higher quality textures to every object in the game. So the title says it, like I said, you're essentially remastering a game by emulation instead of by actually making a completely different game and putting it in store shelves again, having people pay $60 for it. This would automatically get updated via a patch now. It clearly seems to indicate that this is something that they're planning for the PlayStation 5, so it would have backwards compatibility with at least PlayStation 4 games, probably. Now, like I said, me personally, I've always believed that this is something that's going to happen. And I look at, like I said, the current situation that we are in. The PC has been doing it forever. Xbox, though, which is more like the direct competitor, has been really making some huge steps in this regard. You know, not only have they made the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One libraries partially at least available on Xbox One, they've also told their fans already that moving forward, they're not really going to treat these consoles like the, you know, in the generational model anymore that we've always been known to have. They've said that, well, we're going to keep upgrading, updating our hardware, but you're gonna always be able to keep running the old games on it, so the entire Xbox library will become available on every Xbox system moving forward, and that's a great thing. Because of that, I feel like Sony is almost forced to do it as well, because it's just, I hate to use the argument it's 2018, but it seems that that's just where we're going. And that's not even it. I look at just the success of the PlayStation 4. I think we're close to being about 5 years into the generation now, and the PlayStation 4 has already outsold the PlayStation 3. That's a crazy achievement, and what's the easiest way for Sony to carry over that success to the next generation? It's by telling all these 80 million PlayStation 4 owners that all the games they've invested so much money into, that they're gonna carry over to the PlayStation 5. Like, you know, I look at my friends right now who are still using iPhones just because they bought the very first one, and they got so used to the Apple Store. They bought music on iTunes. They, you know, maybe bought games on it. They want that, or they just don't want to lose that stuff. They don't want to start from scratch, and that's why they've stuck with the iPhone for so long. We all know Android phones are superior. I shouldn't be making jokes about that. I'm an Android fanboy, but don't get me wrong, iPhones are good phones too. But you get what I'm saying. People stick to the same brand because they get so involved in that ecosystem, and once they hear that that's going to carry over, that's an extra reason for them to stick to it. At the same time, you know, I just look at, like I said in the beginning of the video, I think there's been already a couple of signs that have pointed towards this going to happen. And I look back all the way to 2013, the PlayStation 4 announcement. Sony announced that the PlayStation 4 was going to have this very developer-friendly PC x86 architecture, it's called. I don't want to keep it too technical, but that was a breath of fresh air to developers out there, third-party companies especially, because developing on PlayStation systems had been hell in the past. You know, Sony was notoriously known for being very egotistical in a way and always making their platforms have this very complicated, for example, in the PlayStation 3, the cell architecture. Remember how games like Skyrim used to run at, what was it, like 5 frames per second after you put 50 hours into it or something? Just because Bethesda couldn't handle that system, that architecture. They weren't able to master it, and they always ran into issues. That counted for many third-party companies who didn't just have to make PlayStation games for PlayStation, but also for other platforms out there. They didn't have the time and resources to fully master the system. Who did? First-party companies. That's why you always saw that games like Uncharted and Killzone, made by companies like Naughty Dog and Guerrilla, who were owned by Sony and only had to make games for the PlayStation, they were able to master that system. And that's why those games always looked much better than third-party games did. Now on PlayStation 4, we don't really have that as much anymore. It's still going on, but not in the same, not in the same way as it did last generation. The leaps, I guess, the steps in graphics aren't as large as they used to be. Now, I'm maybe straying a bit off topic, but because they went with that more developer-friendly architecture, what it means is that if you're gonna go to a next generation and keep the same architecture, games will smoothly carry over as well. And there is actually living proof of that right now, that when I tell this to people, they always look at me a bit confused, but it's the PlayStation 4 Pro. On paper, a PlayStation 4 Pro may still be a PlayStation 4, but in reality, it is the very first time we've seen a mid-generation upgrade, and it actually is a completely different system. It has a different CPU, different GPU, I think even different RAM, but the games run just fine on it, the PlayStation 4 games, and that's because it keeps that same architecture. A PlayStation 5 will really be no different than that, except that it's gonna have some other innovations this time, hopefully, a new menu, and the controller will be different, but that doesn't take away that it's just gonna be another hardware upgrade, right? So there's no reason for it, if it's going to keep the same architecture, to not run those same old games. A lot of people right now love to, say that games like Last of Us 2 and Death Stranding are going to be, that we're actually looking at PlayStation 5 games. And my answer to that is that, well, technically, yeah, we are. They are going to be playable on PlayStation 5, but that doesn't take away that they're going to release on the PS4 as well, and probably still before the PlayStation 5 comes out. They're just going to be available from day one on the new system, via backwards compatibility, and developers will be patching them, and, hopefully we'll have 60 frames per second modes for both these games on the PlayStation 5, and the full 4K resolution or something, and the graphics will be somewhat improved. And it's just going to be one of those reasons to make you want to upgrade to a PlayStation 5, because those games you loved, you're now going to be able to automatically play them while they have been upgraded in their graphics and in their frame rate, without having, without forcing you to spend another $60 on them like they did this generation. So basically, that's what it comes down to. I hope it wasn't too, I hope I didn't talk too fast and it wasn't too complicated of a video, but that's how I have always looked at it. I'm going even too fast for myself now, but with that being said, let me know how you feel about this in the comments. Do you think the PlayStation 5 will be backwards compatible? And I'd like to really quickly say that I'm speedrunning Uncharted 2 and afterwards Uncharted 1 as well tonight on my Twitch channel. I don't really ever shout out my Twitch channel, so I should do that more often, I guess. It's twitch.tv/Robinelio. Come hang out tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun to catch up with you all while playing some games. And at the same time, one more thing, I've made a new public Discord server. You can find a link to that in the pinned comment on this video. Make sure you join, because on Discord you can hang out with me and all my other viewers, talk about some games. It's always a lot of fun. So come interact with us all. It'd be awesome to see that. And then with that being said, leave a like to help support my channel. And for now, thanks a lot for watching. I hope to see you again next time.